In the early 1990s at Makerere University, a youthful Erias Lukwago joined the Uganda Young Democrats, the youth wing of one of Uganda's oldest parties, the Democratic Party. Having become a full DP member, Lukwago has been at the center of power struggles and several legal battles that have befell the party in the last 20 years. But on Tuesday, Lukwago ditched DP for FDC, a party he has closely associated with since 2016. So is this a strategy or a political mistake? Tonight we host Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago. Lord Mayor of Kampala, thank you so much for having honored our invitation. First of all, Eid Mubarak.
Takabbalallahu minna wa minkum.
We are so honored that you have given us your time to come and discuss some of the important issues, especially in your own journey as a politician and your journey as our leader. I've been observing you as a reporter for quite some time, and I'm going to begin like this. If it walks like a duck, if it has feathers and webbed feet and quacks like a duck and associates with ducks, one deduces that it's a duck. Your worship, you have worked like FDC. You have talked like FDC. You have associated with FDC. What is this thing you did the other day that you are crossing? You had crossed a long time ago.
Did I say I was crossing? At least in my statement, I never mentioned that I was crossing. And indeed, I think it is you who is construing it that way. But I made it very clear, and I would wish to reiterate it now. What I did was to cement the bond I've always enjoyed, and I've had the good working relationship with comrades in the struggle who subscribe to the FDC political party, the colleagues I've served with in various formations, not only actual FDC, but in the FOC, in the G6, in the For God and My Country group. You were forgetting there was 4GC, FOC, and right now, the People's Government, where I serve as the Deputy President, deputizing Colonel Dr. Chiza Besigye. So that is the track record I've had.
Yeah, the track record of ping-pong movement of Erias Lukwago, who moves from DP, you are in Subi, you are in TJ, Truth and Justice, you are in FDC. One thing that is consistent with you, your worship, is your own inconsistency.
That is a paradox. And indeed, with all due respect and insult to me, that I've been inconsistent. At least I've been very clear in my political journey since my youthful days. Those who have kept track of what I've been doing, they know exactly who Lukwago is. They cannot in any way describe me as a person who is inconsistent.
Wait,
I think that is...
had an opportunity to sit with you. I could feel the passion in your mind as you spoke about the Democratic Party, Uganda's oldest party, the party of Benedict Kiwanuka. In fact, I can imagine your political ancestors must be turning in their graves.
Oh, sure. At least the patriarchs were still alive. If you talked to Dr. Paul Kawanga Semogere, he's very proud of me.
For having left?
Not for that.
Yeah, he's proud of you for what?
Because he has groomed me up, into the person you see
He
here.
didn't groom you to leave your party.
He groomed me to be a good leader.
A good leader stays in the party. A good leader salvages the situation from within. You don't quit. Winners don't quit, Erias.
A good leader perseveres and pursues a good cause.
That's
so I think
that's...
What do you mean? I've been resilient. I've persevered on the struggle to liberate this country. Dr. Paul Kawanga Semogere is one person I revere in my life, in my career. He's, you know for sure, he's one of those living patriarchs of the Democratic Party.
A living patriarch that served all his time, and he quit, he retired from DP. He's still consulted for matters of DP, and if that is your icon, Erias Lukwago, the leading mayor of Kampala, should still be serving in DP as the legal advisor or somebody up there in the echelons of your party, not somebody who's going to quit. If he is your mentor, your mentor should not be happy with you now.
I wonder whether you have talked to him of late about the person of Lukwago, whether you have discussed it with him, whether he's disappointed with the way Lukwago is handling political matters, whether he is getting disillusioned.
Are you telling Ugandans that the Honorable Paul Makerere would be happy to see a firebrand leader like you quit the party that he loves so much?
Obviously, Ugandans know what is happening. And I'm sure himself, I've not discussed it with him, but I'm quite sure and confident that he's not oblivious of what is going on within the party. The good old man is still very, very active in terms of pursuing, getting to monitor what is going on. He is not senile, for that matter. He's still very, very, observant of what is going on. So for you to say that probably, to insinuate actually, because you are not saying this what he has said, to insinuate that you could be disappointed in the person of Lukwago, I think you are stretching it too far.
No, really is disappointed the fact that to see one of the star performers of the Democratic Party who has served our country as the Lord Mayor of our capital city move to a rival party, and yet DP that he sacrificed for is still there.
For the record, I have no issue with the Democratic Party as an institution. I want us to take the debate to that direction. I have no problem. DP has nurtured me. DP has groomed me. DP has offered me a platform to showcase and exploit my potentials. DP has offered me that platform to contribute to the progress and development of this country, especially in the area of public interest litigation, fighting for truth and justice, and also fighting for rule of law, constitutionalism, good governance. And I'm very, very appreciative of what DP has made me what I am.
Is that how you give back?
Have I condemned
by showing your back to the party that has made you who you are?
Have I condemned DP, the institution?
Because when you move away,
I would rather you ask me.
Your party.
I would rather you ask me.
Your Worship, with all respect, you've just talked about the goodness of the Democratic Party. In fact, you say that it has given you the foundation on which you stand.
Yeah, it does true. The pedestal on which I stand right now.
Now this is like just cutting the hand that has been feeding you.
And I can't wish it away. That's fair fact. That pedestal the Democratic Party has given me to have a firm stance within the body politic, I owe it to DP.
But then you give back to DP.
You see, it's not a question of giving back. Look here. I would rather you ask me the reason why I've decided to move
Because I'm going to get there as well.
No, you see, you are dwelling so much on issues which I would consider immaterial. Yes, it's not about one concentrating on what you would wish him to be doing. You get it? It's not about that. It's all about having a vision of what you would like to do.
So do you consider individuals in the party you've just left, that the party is bigger than them?
Come again?
Do you believe that the Democratic Party is bigger than the individuals in the party?
Obviously, an institution is bigger than an individual.
So if you are frustrated by the individuals, why don't you stay with the party that is bigger than them?
If you have no room of addressing the challenges internally, what do you do? If you have no space, what do you do? And I think you've been around, like you said, you have been monitoring what I've been doing. For the last decade, I've been at the forefront of struggling for reforms within DP. And I think you owe me, you should give me credit for that, that I've endeavored. I'm one person. You just check the record, who has stood firm on matters of reforms within DP for over a decade. Actually, I'm conservative to so it is a decade, of a decade. And there comes a time when one says, no, enough is enough. So I'm not ready to continue with the fight for reforms in DP.
Do you have an issue with the DP party president, Norbert Mao?
But he has issues with me. I think if we were to play the record here, I'm sure you have enough of clips here which you can replay and get to understand the issues he has with me. He has called me all sorts of names. He has castigated me. He has called me Satan. He has called me a wild cat or a stray cat. That was the most recent one. And of course, he has called me all sorts of names which are derogatory. I wouldn't want even to mention here. A muddy fish, what? I don't want to mention all that. So
these are the issues really that maybe were the last straws that have broken the camel's back for you to say, oh, you know what, I've had enough.
I am now 50, I said this, and I keep on repeating. This year I clocked 50 years. There are things you do when you are still young. There are things you do when you are middle age. And there are things you do in your advanced age. So right now, I feel like the 50-year mark means quite a lot in my journey. And there is a chapter I have to close. I've pushed for reforms. I've made my contribution to the progress and development of DP, because DP does not exist in abstract. It's not something like it exists on its own.
You make it as a people.
Yes, we contribute to the, actually we contribute to the image of the party collectively. So it cannot be gainsaid that I've not made any contribution to the development of Democratic Party. If I compare it to a company, I'm a shareholder. Actually, I hold a number of shares within DP. If I may take that example, of course, it may not go down well with some individuals. But the fact remains is I have shares in that corporate entity. So if you are talking of giving back and disappointment and whatnot, I really don't understand you.
So now, because you love the Democratic Party, it has given you a foundation, you're grounded in it, in truth and justice, you love its ideals, the problems that you could not have reforms from within. If it happens that maybe you get new leadership, they get new leadership in DP, and the reforms happen there, I would like to see Erias Lukwago return to DP, the party that you love so much.
You mentioned the last straw that broke the camel's back. That is the breaking point. Of course, I know, I'm privy to what is going on internally. I've been in the thick of it. I know what is transpiring within the institution. I've made a judgment, and based on the facts, that it's now irredeemable. It's now beyond the capacity of some of us to deal with that. Even the individuals who were initially opposed to the move I have always championed in those formations you have talked about, like a TJ, because it was a platform for rejuvenation of the party. Even those who took exception of the approach some of us adopted, they have since exonerated us. They said, oh, probably you are right, we are wrong. Many have apologized to me. Many are quitting. It's not only Lukwago. Actually, DP has got 16 members of parliament. If I may get the records right, with this exodus going on within the party, you may find that 2 or 3 MPs will stay there out of 16. And it's not me who's pushing them out. You need to ask what is going on. Actually, the fundamental issue you can interrogate in this particular matter is the push factors within the institution. What are those? Instead of concentrating on Lukwago, trying to insinuate lots of things about the personality of Lukwago, you need to focus and shine a torch on the internal workings of Democratic Party there, and why majority of the leaders are saying quit. Why? You need to interrogate that, and it's important. And this is where actually many of the stakeholders ought to have concentrated their efforts to say, but what is happening? Unfortunately, the issues which are immaterial are the ones which are taking center stage.
But you see, those questions you're talking about are going to be asked by the people who have moved into different directions. There's a new kid on the block, the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, and some of them probably he's got the momentum, and some of them have individual interests because they see they can ride on the wave of the young man right now who's got momentum. So you make your political calculations, you leave Democratic Party because you think now people power is the special purpose vehicle that maybe can sustain your political interests. So I understand your questions, but now me, I have the Lord Mayor on my show, and so the questions that are in my mind, I think should be purposely repurposed for the Honorable
well, you can proceed,
Erias Lukwago.
though I have my own reservation about that approach, but yes, you are in control.
You know, you have inspired so many young people from right at the university, from Uganda Young Democrats, and then you joined the Democratic Party. You have been Member of Parliament representing Kampala Central right here where we are. You've been a Lord Mayor of Kampala. I should say you have served your country and your constituency with distinction. Your Worship, do you have ambition to lead and serve your country at another level, the presidency?
I thought you also hold the same ambitions, just like any other Ugandan.
Your Worship, do you have ambitions to lead this country as President of the Republic of Uganda?
Oh my God, I think that question again doesn't really come out well in the way you are presenting it, because I really don't understand why you are asking.
I'm not speaking in parables. I am giving a short and direct answer. Considering your wave of ascendancy in the political positions you have held, your curve is moving up. After Lord Mayor, do you have ambition, the Honorable Erias Lukwago,
Two things I should
to serve at the topmost position in our land, the presidency?
Two things I should say here. You see, you can have wild dreams in this country. You can have all those ideas and ambitions. But the question you have to ask yourself, what are the challenges you are encountering right now? And I would rather one focuses on those challenges rather than pursuing those ambitions you're talking about.
You know, with all respect, why I'm asking this question, because I see a politician whose curve of political ascendancy is rising. And really, if you have served the people of Kampala as Lord Mayor once or twice or thrice, you are only just 50 years younger. There's so much you have that other people don't have, and that is time and age. And I'm asking, there are not many people who can be Lord Mayors of a capital city.
I have told you.
So you are in a position than many politicians in this country.
Any rational Ugandan, any reasonable person would have ambitions which may be varied in nature. You are asking for specific about presidential ambitions. I've told you, anybody within my class
Your Worship,
would have those ambitions.
You're not anybody. You are Erias Lukwago, our Lord Mayor, and I'm asking whether it is yes or you don't, or maybe it's a future, something to ponder about in future.
Like I've told you, there are things you can dream about in your lifetime.
That's not one of your dreams.
Which one? This is what I'm telling you. Just like you yourself, I'm sure it wouldn't be a crime for you to have those ambitions in life. And I think this question is neither here nor there.
Well,
I think so.
I suppose you have an ambition to lead as the president of this country, and probably it's not yet your time, but maybe the time is going to come. But do you have the spine? Do you have the organizational capability? Are we likely to see the momentum come from you? Because when you declared officially that now you're in FDC, we expected to see a legion of DP supporters behind your back coming with you, not just a single man declaring.
You are putting it again on that premise that I'm pursuing that particular agenda. No. I said it's not about, this is what I mentioned, and I want to insist on it. The least I can do right now, given the political challenges we are faced with right now, is to begin pursuing a personal agenda. That I begin mobilizing people, I get them to support me, and then I push, begin even stampeding FDC to give me a flag for whatever position you are talking about. That would be very, very absurd. I've mentioned this, and deep from the innermost chamber of my heart, that my joining FDC is all about consolidating my relationship with the people I've been with, I've worked with for over a very long period, struggling, going through the hurdles, jumping the hurdles, going through the trenches to liberate this country, to create sanity, political sanity in this country, to create a political order that guarantees rule of law and constitutionalism in the country. That's what I'm focusing on right now.
If you are focusing on that, and you know, because I've seen other members in the opposition muting the idea of unity, you know, working together. But it appears unity has eluded you like the Holy Grail in the opposition. I wonder what you're going to do, because the more you appeared in disarray, the more chances you give President Yoweri Museveni and his NRM juggernaut.
I entirely agree with you that the issue of creating a front or coming up with that formation that brings all the forces together is quite elusive. I entirely agree with you. But that's not to say we should give up. We've got to keep on pushing.
Actually,
because
I know you, as a person, the few things I know about you is that you're not a man who's going to give up. But look, what is happening in your camp is total chaos. In total, the opposition. I think President Yoweri Museveni, in his mind, he's happy to meet FDC, Dr. Besigye and yourself in the field because he thinks you are beatable and he has a record to show.
I don't get you.
President Yoweri Museveni would be happy to meet Dr. Besigye, Erias Lukwago, and all the FDC members in the field to campaign because in his mind, I'm sure he knows you are beatable and he has a record to show.
Are you suggesting we have a democracy in this country? You see, for heaven's sake, we have already stated we are dealing with a military structure, a military regime. That's what we are confronted with. And in a military regime, you cannot have free competition of party platforms, party manifestos, party ideologies. It cannot happen. And it's illogical for one to imagine that you can have a free contest of ideas, free contest of party ideologies and programs in an environment which is like this.
But if you really think you're going to have a leveled ground, a better environment, you have to wake up and smell the coffee. It's not going to be there. You will swim from the deep end. You either swim out or you drown, because no one is going to level the ground. Africa has shown us and other third world countries that no ground is going to be leveled, but people always fight out and come out.
But you have precisely to fight your way out. This is what I'm saying. This is exactly what we are doing.
You don't fight and come out when you are in disarray, when you are not united, when you are fighting. Just a few weeks ago, and on that
this
chair,
is where you should commend me. Let me tell you this. This is where you should commend me now. By joining FDC to further consolidate our efforts together and make the work of the actors to create a front easy is something that is commendable. Because if you imagine, if for us to create fronts, political fronts, we must have these particular entities. A front is not created by individuals. Individuals like Lukwago, Besigye, or Kyagulanyi, or any other person. No, a front is created by entities. And that is the reason we have had these formations you are talking about. They are necessary, because there is no way you are going to advance a struggle unless you are organized. And you cannot organize unless you have entities, institutions, formations. So we have had these formations coming up. Otherwise, we would just operate without any organization.
You know, the strength...
When the Musevenis were in the bush, they had different formations. They had different guerrilla organizations. But here we are saying, look, we have political parties, we have pressure groups, we have civil society organizations. How do we coalesce behind a particular agenda? How do we come together? How do we agree on a mechanism where we can share a platform to advance the struggle? And this is, and I think I have a lot to give you here. You've had the workings, we have had the relationship we have had between the People's Government and FDC, the People's Government and the People Power. Actually, People Power is a pressure group. People's Government is more or less like also a platform or in that particular cluster. But they are also political parties. So now when Lukwago comes up at this material time to say, yes, I've worked with you in these different formations, FOC, 4GC, G6, People's Government. Now we are entering into another phase of the struggle, because we have got two strands emerging in the struggle. We have defiance and also elections. These are two strands, and they are pursued under different formations, because you can't pursue elections using pressure groups. And I think that's precisely the reason why the Honorable Kyagulanyi had also to come up with another entity, a political party called the NUP. Because you could not proceed in elections with a formation which is a pressure group. Now you come to Lukwago as an individual. I've been heading a platform, called Platform for Truth and Justice, TJ. That's a formation I've been heading. We are entering into a phase where we have to pursue the struggle using different approach, because we are going into this election as a way of advancing the struggle, continuing the struggle. So where do I stand? In that scheme of things, where does Lukwago stand?
Where?
We have signed agreements. Actually, we have issued on different occasions. You have heard, we have issued joint communiques together with the different formations. And the most recent one was in Wachiso a couple of months ago during this COVID lockdown. We issued a statement together, jointly. But these were two formations which are not essentially political parties. People Power and People's Government. But majority of the members in that arrangement belonged to different formations. Now you've got People Power getting a new political party. Nope. And you do not want Lukwago also to join FDC to continue with that arrangement. I think it would be fair, it would be very, very unfair to me.
The strength of a political party, Your Worship, is seen through its members. And when members keep moving away, then the party is weaker. I asked one of the NRM people how many members they have, and they boast of having 11 million members, party-holding members of the NRM party. And if you go to the Electoral Commission, how many voters do we have? It's about 16 or 17 registered voters. And if NRM has 11 million, and the Electoral Commission register has 16 million registered voters, they only have to convince their people to turn up and vote, and it's a game changer.
You see, all you are explaining are the symptoms of a broken system.
No.
Yes.
I'm talking about numbers, Your Worship.
Yes.
That they have in their register 11 million voters and counting. That the Electoral Commission has about 16 million voters. If the NRM, and I'm not speaking for it,
but that's a distortion.
If the NRM
It's not there.
just
This is what I'm
convince their
telling
people
you.
to turn up and vote, it's game over.
But this is what I'm telling you. That's a distortion. Where are those 11 million members? Where are they? This is what I'm telling you. You are talking about the symptoms of a dysfunctional system.
Are you aware that even the biggest political party, opposition
But
political party you have joined, no,
are you
sometimes you even fail to present candidates in elective positions across the country.
But do you take it for a fact that NRM has got 11 million members?
This is what they said.
But that's a lie. This is what I'm telling you. It's a distortion. It's not true.
Let me give you another scenario. That DP or FDC have failed to produce. There are over 2 million elective positions in Uganda. From village, more than 2 million. Possibly, NRM will have a candidate in all those. And you find DP or FDC in some places, you don't even have a candidate. But this has happened.
But look here.
So if you don't even have a candidate who is going to campaign for you and campaign for himself.
Have you endeavored to interrogate what is causing that particular situation you are talking about?
All I wanted to know for you to accept that that situation pertains. It happens.
No, it happens, of course.
And when it happens,
and it has always happened,
and you don't even have candidates,
and it has always happened in different election cycles. Even most recently, by the way,
even LC5
by-elections,
even districts, sometimes you don't even front a candidate in LC5 elections.
Even where, in cases where we have fronted the candidates, you've seen NRM coming out to buy them off. The case in point, what happened in Karamoja region, most recently when we had a by-election there. In the middle of one election, the candidate stands down and the NRM candidates goes through unopposed.
Why are they buyable?
This is exactly this what we are
Why
telling
are your
you.
people so buyable?
Can I go there? Because we have a personal rule. We have no functional multi-party democracy.
Because
what
they
is
are not
happening?
grounded in the ideals of what you stand for.
So
because
if you have politics of patronage,
I know, for example, that unless I'm wrong,
do you know that Mr. Museveni has
Lukwago,
mastered the politics of patronage?
I believe, tell me I'm wrong, that Honorable Erias Lukwago, there's no money enough in Uganda from NRM to buy you.
Oh, that's a fact. That's
so why can't other people be grounded in the ideals you stand for?
You see, I really don't understand what you're talking about.
We're going to take a break. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight is the Lord Mayor of Kampala, Erias Lukwago. Okay, so what will it take for the forces of change really to come together and face the NRM? Because it looks like, you know, especially the young people, they seem to be yearning for change, but people at the top are not working together to put that into reality. And I'm sure there is an opportunity to cause the end of an era and the beginning of another. But the leaders have not worked as hard or had cohesion to make that happen.
Well, before we focus on that, we need to have an assessment, a value judgment on the whole exercise that we are talking about. Is it a democratic process? Before you even talk about cohesion, before you talk about preparedness, before you talk about synergies, are we engaged in a democratic process or exercise? I think that's what is fundamental. I would say we are going to have, or we're already having a sham election. They are calling it a scientific election because it's organized in the wake of COVID, and Mr. Museveni is exploiting the situation we are having right now. He has turned it into a political project for himself, and that's what everything is now doing is to manipulate the processes using COVID as a cover to advance his political agenda. And that's now the challenge. You can look at the events unfolding right now. Today, as we talk, the gerrymandering is ongoing. They have created 46 constituencies or counties on top of the 296 we have already been having. So the 46 constituencies coming in the middle of one election, because already the roadmap is out, it's running. Political parties were given deadlines for intending candidates to express their interests, pick forms, return them, hold the delegates conferences, and choose candidates, flag bearers for all these electoral areas. Now you come up with the new constituencies. Are you going to roll it backwards to allow political parties to come up with new arrangements to pick candidates? The other day you heard Mr. Museveni talk about the mischief being committed by members of the Electoral Commission. And indeed, Ugandans were shocked to see the Secretary Electoral Commission claiming, no, actually himself has not spoken out. It's instead the chairman who came up with some obnoxious statement which was to the effect that actually they have opted for it. Senior officers, staff, including the chief executive of the electoral body. The electoral body which is charged with the management of the election, that is Lukwago. I don't want to defend Lukwago. But the circumstances are mysterious. The circumstances under which he was thrown out of that. I don't want to believe that crap given by Mr. Byabakama, that indeed he voluntarily moved out, that it was on his own volition to seek for early retirement. When the same person, Lukwago, had vehemently defended the case we filed against him as people's government. Myself, I was one of the lead petitioners in that case. We pursued it against him that the renewal of his contract was illegal. You know, he has been holding that position since 2001. And somewhere around 2010, I was in Parliament. I was the Shadow Attorney General. An amendment was tabled before Parliament. We put term limits that you can't hold this office beyond 10 years, a term of 5 years, renewable once. By that time, Sam Lukwago's contract had just been renewed in September 2009. And it expired in September 2014. They renewed it again to September 2019. So when it expired in September 2019, they purported to renew it for another period of 5 years, and we said, no, this is wrong. It's a breach of the express provisions of the law, the Electoral Commission Act. He said, no, they went and put up a spirited fight in the court. Early this year, before COVID set in, the case was heard. In fact, the judge had been transferred to Mbalala, the judge who was handling the case. He insisted and said, no, I have to dispose of this case. He gave a lengthy judgment saying, you know, the law could not operate retrospectively. By the time the law came into place in 2010, this man's contract was running, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. But of course, it was about manipulating the law to keep him in office. What turns out was a surprise is to see the statement issued by Byabakama.
Is opting for early retirement.
That is opting for early retirement. A person who has just got his contract renewed, a GC contract. Actually, for Lukwago, it seemed as though the office was person to holder and it was permanent and pensionable. It was not contractual. Now, all of a sudden, he says that he has returned, he has voluntarily retired. So, these are quite ominous signs. They should show you that actually, Mr. Museveni is in charge of the Electoral Commission. So, with that kind of situation, what do you expect, honestly speaking? And already the election is underway. The roadmap is running. Now they have said they have replaced Lukwago with another gentleman, Mulekwa. How has Mulekwa been appointed? I don't even know whether Ugandans know that there is a totally different chief executive of the Electoral Commission, the secretary. Mulekwa, called Mulekwa, who dismissed Lukwago Mr. Yoweri Museveni, who is a candidate, who has appointed this new one, Mulekwa, who is going to manage the technical aspects. It is him. And you've had the controversies surrounding the procurement of the election materials, the ballot papers, the biometric machines and verification machines and whatnot. You need to interrogate all these issues and get to understand that actually this is already a rigged election. I don't want to cause despondence within the public domain, but we are pointing out to these facts so that we deal with the issues instead of, giving ourselves the false hope. So these are the issues which are fundamental before you even talk about the disunity within the opposition. Because we are not also seated, if I may turn to that issue of building synergies. We have been working around the clock. Myself, I may not have the luxury of divulging what is happening right now. There are those engagements we are having to see that we have a common front. But like I've said, they are undercurrents, they are contradictions.
Yeah, but you see,
we have 50 columnists, we have what we would call agents, provocateurs, who are all out to cause that disharmony you are talking about. But we are doing our best.
Yeah, but time is not on your side, because in just a few months, the election roadmap is underway, and the world also runs on perception. If the people in rural Uganda see you like people who are united, not like your colleagues, just the other day they are wallowing in the mud right here.
You are saying time is not on. I loved the statement made by Dr. Chizabesije the other day when I was being received at the FDC headquarters. He said, why do you peg your agenda to the timelines set by your opponent? Why? He asked us in 2005, if I recall very well, 1985, I'm sorry, they were supposed to have a general election. Did it take place? Did it happen? The government collapsed in July of the same year, the same election year. The government was brought down. What makes you think that it's not possible this same election year, this government tumbling down and collapses on its own weight? What makes you think it's absolutely impossible? Mr. Museveni has created this perception within the individual, within the public domain, that he is infallible, he is invisible, he is unblockable, nothing can happen, that this government is sitting on a rock bed. Whereas the thing is hollow. I'm telling you, it is hollow. It's only that Ugandans have not been aggressive and assertive enough to exert their authority. And this is basically what we are doing within the people's government and in concert with other change-seeking agents and formations. Basically, that's what we are doing. So that is where our preoccupation is. That's where our emphasis is. That's what we consider paramount as of now. Of course, that's the one strand I'm talking about, because it's a multi-pronged struggle. So as we concentrate on that, direction sets in. Mr. Museveni in 1985 knew very well there was that election calendar, but was never distracted from his struggle by that election calendar.
I think the worry from your supporters would be when they see senior members of your party speaking in a manner that is unbecoming, almost going to each other's throats.
Senior members of the party, like may you be specific?
General, like the woman member of parliament representing Kampala. And also, when you see
but
members
those are
of
peripheral issues.
Yes, yeah, but you see,
let's talk about the core issues.
Yes, but
they are peripheral.
When you the world runs on perception. When you behave like that, it does not help you to recruit, does it?
You see, it's not about party recruitment.
It is.
This is where
the party's strength
also
is determined by the numbers of the membership, doesn't it?
You see, that is true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So the behavior of your members is not helping in recruiting new members, because they will say, look at them. You have the Honorable Odongo To who's saying, you know what, I'm not going back in this. You have the Honorable Centenario saying, you know what, I've been... You have the Honorable Winnie Kiza who's saying, you know what,
my brother,
you have the Honorable Beatrice Anyuaru who's saying, you know what, so
it would appear, I'm sorry to say this, we are talking at cross purpose. You were talking about party building. I'm talking about a liberation. You see, we have a contradiction here. And it's fundamental. I want Ugandans to note it. There is this contradiction we have.
The liberation can come because you have people.
Electioneering.
You'll not liberate alone. You'll need members, people who believe in your ideas.
I wanted to explain this contradiction before I come to the party building politics we are talking about. What do we have right now? We have what you do call revolutionary politics. Because for you, for you to dislodge a dictatorial regime from power, you cannot use one approach of elections. And that's why the Constitution gives a wide latitude. If you read the provisions of Article 3, they are saying there are those unconstitutional tendencies which may constitute an encumbrance or a hindrance to the people of Uganda exercising their sovereign authority to determine who governs them, how they should be governed through regular, free and fair elections. That is Article 1.4. And you go to Article 3, which commands, which dictates that if you are faced with that kind of situation, you need to take action. Go and read Article 3 of the Constitution. You need to take action. That's why in People's Government, we had launched that campaign, Article 3, because it's now the button you have to press. Because the Constitution gives different buttons you need to press at any given time, depending on the circumstances obtaining at that time.
You have tried to press the button, sir, but
so
the button has not given you
the Constitution commands and dictates that you press that Article 3 button. And this is what we are insisting on. We are refocusing the direction of the nation to Article 3, but not getting the eyes off the provisions relating to elections. This is the contradiction I wanted to explain. So we are focusing on both. Article 3 button can only be handled by different groups coming together.
So when you press your button 3, what is it supposed to give you?
Action, mass action.
But you know that's
what he's talking about. Why are you saying it cannot happen?
You know you have tried it. Let me refresh your mind.
It has
if you may give me some latitude.
In a number of countries in Africa.
Yes, I'm saying in your case here. Yeah. Because President Yoweri Museveni will be extending his presidency to 40 years. Even though I have a problem with that. But yes, 40 years. And 15 years ago, I was covering Dr. Kizza Besigye as a presidential candidate. And he was telling the people of Masaka, actually where you come from, that for them they are lucky because they are going to see the man going. He didn't. And he came back and said, you know what, he's going to press your button and we're going to see the tsunami. It didn't. And there was a walk, it never brought anything. So really, experience has shown us that all the buttons you're pressing...
Do you agree that Dr. Kizza Besigye has played his part? Because, let me tell you, he owes no obligation to Ugandans to liberate them. It's an individual responsibility under Article 3. The command is as good on me as it is on you. That command under Article 3 is applicable to all of us. It does not mean that Kizza Besigye should sit somewhere, liberate this country and deliver it to you. That's why actually he has always insisted. And I need people to understand this. Why do you want Dr. Besigye to sit at home and you liberate the country on his behalf? He's saying all of us should be together. Young, middle-aged, old, all of us. It's an obligation. Because the Constitution talks of a person of majority age, Article 3, a person of majority age, and is of sound mind, able-bodied. It's your obligation under Article 3.
The kind of pain you feel probably is not being felt by the rest of Ugandans. There are those who see some hope There are those who think it is not necessary. So the kind of pain you feel to press your button of Article 3 is not the kind of pain the other people are feeling.
That's
So
what.
there are people who are in their comfort zone.
Do you know why the Holocaust happened? That kind of attitude. One felt he was not a Jew. See, there they are coming for the Jews. Why should I get bothered? Until the whole world went up in flames. We also felt the impact here. Did we have Jews here in Uganda? And that opened the eyes of the world. And that's why they came up with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That's why they came up with the Nuremberg trials and subsequently enacted the Rome Statute and created the International Criminal Court, the ICC, that you have crimes against humanity. So, if you sit back and you witness injustice being committed, crimes against humanity being committed, and you are there in your comfort zone, you are committing treason. That's the full import of Article 2 of the Constitution. Actually, the new constitutional order we have is quite unique. It's unprecedented in that particular regard. Because I've not also appreciated it very well, I must admit and concede. Criminal offenses are a creation of parliamentary legislations, acts of parliament. Mm-hmm. They are never a creation of the Constitution. But the Constitution says whoever fails in the duty of defending the Constitution under Article 3, that person commits an offense called treason. So you, my brother here, if you have that mentality and thinking,
I should be taken to the gallows.
Honestly,
because that's a punishment of treason.
You belong somewhere else.
I belong to the
yes, because you are committing treason. So to say that there are certain Ugandans who are in a comfort zone and they shouldn't get bothered.
They are there.
Let me tell you.
Because you feel some
I want to tell you, Ugandans.
You feel the pain.
Let me make a decision.
But not everybody is feeling the pain. There are those who are not feeling the pain.
Those in the affluent part of this world, this country rather, the high end, who seem to be in heaven, and you are talking of this relative stability you are witnessing here, which is temporary. I want to make this statement, not as a prophet, but a person who can forecast what is going to happen. This instability you are seeing, this is relative stability, apparent, not relative, this apparent stability you are witnessing and enjoying is sitting on a potential instability. And that is the danger.
So what do you want Ugandans
because,
to do? So what do you want
because
Ugandans?
Why am I saying this? That it's only the gun that can change government. That it's only the gun that is controlling the state machinery in this country. That the Constitution is a mere paper tiger. That is a situation that should cause worry to any reasonable Ugandan. Any right-thinking Ugandan should be worried about that.
The Lord Mayor, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'll open the line so that you two at home or wherever you are, you can be a part of this discussion. You call us. The numbers are going to be on your screen. Please make your statement brief. And in case you don't agree with the Lord Mayor or even myself, let us disagree with respect to each other, because that is important. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guest tonight is the Lord Mayor of Kampala, Erias Lukwago. And we're discussing the Roadmap 2021 and the challenges and the opportunities they are in, them as the opposition leaders they face, and what they need to do to convince you to join them in the liberation, like they're saying, but also in the elections that are coming up. And, you know, there has been an experiment before, for example, the TDA of coming together, which fell apart. And even before that. And now there's this opportunity. You're saying people should be thinking of, you know, at least utilizing Article 3 of the Constitution, and we'll get that kind of, should I even call it holy anger, do what they can to save the Constitution. As they do that, you as leaders in the opposition, can't you really come together when you still can, and so that people can coalesce around you?
Of course, that is the ideal. But human nature is structured in such a way that we have inherent contradictions and differences. The question would be about getting a formula on how we can hammer out a common agenda regardless of our differences. I am one person who believes in pluralism. In fact, my track record within DP was about fighting for pluralism. And that gave us that profile as a party of brain power. Though now my brother Honorable Norbert Mao wants to turn it in muscle power with that unsavory language he's using. The need to create synergies cannot be overemphasized. It goes without saying that, look, we need to build that front. This is what I have said. Since 1996, there have been attempts. Actually, you can stretch it that far. We had the IPFC. By that time, I was a very young man, still at the university. In 1996, I was in my final year at the university. The IPFC attempted to bring together different political forces, not only political parties, because at that time, actually, political parties had been put in the cooler. They had been put in abeyance. But UPC was there, existing, but not active. DP was there, and a couple of others came up, and they formed a common front. They registered some success, which we hoped we could build on in 2001, but there wasn't much success again when so many candidates came up and we failed to do it. And subsequent to that, we tried to come up with another framework. That is the G6. G6, it was a platform for different parties. Myself, actually, I was representing DP in that forum. Again, with little success. 2011, there was a similar arrangement, IPC, interpolitical forces, no, interpolitical cooperation. Now strictly it was for political parties. I was the national legal advisor of DP then. The instrument was signed from Kololo airstrip there by different political parties. They put their tents for each and every political party. The deed of signing came. There were reasons why DP decided to opt out. We opted out as a party. I don't want to delve into that. But what brought us together, the most solid and formidable one, was the FOC. And that sent the tremors within the system. Actually, it shook the foundation of this regime. This regime, shortly after the elections, we nearly brought down this regime. And that's when Mr. Museveni was more brutal. Actually, on 2 occasions, in dealing with the PRA, after Dr. Besigye fled the country, in the aftermath of the 2001 election, he was extremely lethal. And also, that's the time he brought the black members in court. And also, in trying to crush the upsurge we had during the walk to workout days.
Action for Change.
FOC, Action for Change, which later we turned into 4GC. Fast forward, the TDA experience was about electoral alliance. And this is where we have a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Because there are different formations we must come up with, we are talking about. FOC was not an election alliance. It was a coalition, no, not actually a coalition. It was, you can call it a political front. It was more or less of a political front, not akin to what happened in Moshi in the late 70s. that was very, extremely formidable. TDA was bound to collapse because it was riddled with intrigue, it was riddled with personal ambitions, and so on and so forth. And that's the reason some of us are appealing to colleagues to learn from that bad experience of TDA and to build on the strengths we have. So that's the reason we came up with what we call it a coalition for the willing. And in the mid last year, we issued a joint communique, People's Government and People Power. I don't quite remember when that was done, towards the end of last year. That statement we issued, and subsequently we came up with the one we issued recently. Listen, an election alliance is a club, kind of a concert of political parties, political entities. Those are the ones which create an alliance.
Okay.
So we need to get to understand,
Mr.
are we
Lord Mayor,
talking about
Mr. Lord Mayor,
an alliance, an election alliance, or a front to advance the struggle? These are the things we are discussing internally.
Okay, let me open the lines so that we can have people engage you or ask you a question, or maybe add some value to what you're talking, or even disagree with you, so long as they can be able to disagree honorably. The numbers are on the screen, and now it's your moment to be able to engage and talk to the... I have a call online. Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, the name is Patrick Mwebesa. I'm calling from Bunga.
Okay, Mr. Mwebesa, you're on air.
Yeah, thank you for the programs.
You're welcome.
I was just wondering why seasoned politicians like the Lord Mayor
Yes.
would not be thinking of leading his own political party, like we have seen, and why he's always comfortable. He likes talking of the comfort zone to be under the tutelage of Dr. Kiza Refugee. But we are following the developments, and we hope that someday to see him, as you asked him whether he wants to lead Uganda, he will have his own political formation and probably realize his ambition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mwebesa, calling in from Bunga. Probably I will give the Lord Mayor another opportunity to explain briefly why he had to leave, because he said that, you'll have to repeat. Let me take another call online.
Hello.
Hello, what's your name, sir?
This is Moses calling from Bali.
Moses in Mbale, you are on air.
Yes, I wanted that Mr. Lukwago to be clear on the presidency issue.
Okay.
If he wants to become the president, let him tell us as his time is still.
Thank you.
It should not be like a Mama Baba who said, I'll tell you when the right time comes.
You don't want ambiguity.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you very much. Our caller there from Mbale, he just wants the Honorable Lukwago to speak with much more clarity than he has done. Let me pick another caller. Hello.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello. Okay, I think that one was sending an echo, and the problem was that you called and you are standing next to your TV set, and then you left the audio high and it sent an echo.
Yeah.
Hello.
I'm called Frederick from Namulanda.
From Namulanda.
Yeah, I thank Mr. Lukwago for what he has do. He's behind whatever he does. His best number. Thank you for the show.
Thank you very much, our caller from Namulanda. Probably I'm going to take 2 or 3 more, and then the Lord Mayor will be able to respond to your issues. Hello, sir.
This is Kevin from Nansana.
Kevin in Nansana, you're on air, sir.
I salute Honorable Lukwago, but I want to remind him one thing. It was Seya Sevana, rather Seya, who had to bring Vesige during the earlier politics.
I remember during the days when they are saying Haji Alagiddi.
Haji Alagiddi. See, this was the last time as we people, the youth, want change. Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
you're on air. We can hear you.
Please, Honorable Lukwago, Council Lukwago, be straightforward. You want to come as the president of Uganda, or don't beat about the bush. Don't speak the bombastic words. We know you know more English, but be straight. For us, you're under Bobby Wine no matter what. Whether it goes to Nook.
Okay. Thank you very much, our caller from Nansana. I'm going to try and take 2 more callers. I suppose people would want to really, maybe on the ballot as a presidential candidate. Let me take another call online. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Gordon Mwesige.
Yes, Gordon.
I'm calling from Nabweru.
In Nabweru, Gordon Mwesije, you're on air.
I appreciate our mayor Lukwago.
Okay.
Thanks for joining the FDC. By the way,
What has happened to Gordon Mwesije? All right. Well, at least you said you appreciate your Lord Mayor for joining FDC. I'm going to, my producer is telling me I'll take 1 more caller, and that will be it. So, who do we have? Hello.
hello?
Good evening, sir. What's your name? Oh, it's a pity. We have lost the communication line to the person I just tried to call. And for that matter, let me try to pick another line. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
What's
I am Ahmed
Ahmed, where are you calling from?
from National Kumbi.
Oh, you're on air.
Yes, I want to thank Lukwago for his service.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want to convey a message that many people, similar-minded people that I interact with say, that we've seen many times that Honorable Lukwago does not differentiate between opportunity for politics and opportunity for service. Quite often we think that the overarching agenda for opposition intervenes into what would be a time for him to kind of yield into cohesion that is really necessary for service delivery. I think we've seen this many times. I think he was on air one time when Betty Kamya had just come in, when she tried to do what would be, I think, corridor politics to try and be like, can we talk such that we are going to work together? I mean, you're going to come in for the people. So it matters little to the people of Kampala how strong the voice is in opposition vis-a-vis potholes and things like that. I think there is a time for politics. But there should be a time when you have to, it doesn't matter whether, if you're Lord Mayor, you probably sit with government to help the people. But if it's time for campaigns, then it would be opportunity to really be in your stronghold for whichever party. So I think that's a very overarching comment, I should say, Mr. Lukwago, all over Kampala, that people think you're quite obstinate and you're probably many times not able to come from the wings of maybe the boss in opposition.
All right.
Okay.
I like the way, Muhammad, how you know how to soften your blows a little bit. Okay.
Well, and I really appreciate his observations and concerns.
Okay, if you go for them now.
Yeah, they are basically 3 issues.
Yes.
And I will handle them in that particular order, starting with the last one. I think that thinking is quite pervasive in various circles that, well, at times, I get so much engrossed in politics at the expense of service delivery. Of course, that is a distortion, it's propaganda, it is something which is choreographed and intended to portray me as a recalcitrant, actually what he said, as an obstinate person. Don't be, a prey to the propaganda machinery of this regime. Today I had even to debunk that, and many of my nemesis, my detractors, had to concede today. If you ask whoever attended the ceremony we had, I'm sorry to say this, today receiving the new ED I presented my vision to them. I spoke for almost an hour. We had the Minister for Kampala, the ED, and the entire team were there. And I told them, yes, maybe this is a golden opportunity for me to present my vision to you, and you get to appreciate and exactly what I've been doing. I wish I had an opportunity to do so. The ideas I have, the vision I have, the kind of work I've done, it's only that I don't have that opportunity. We come here, we talk about these other issues, which to me are very fundamental. Actually, they are paramount.
Okay.
Yeah, we shall have another occasion, my brother. You will get to appreciate the other side of Lukwago, the administrator, the governor, and the person who is passionate about service delivery and transformation of Kampala. The second issue is about, before I come to the issue of the presidential ambitions, let me just clear away the issue of forming my own party. I do not believe, with all due respect, I recognize what you are talking about, and this is the culture we have here, that you built a cult. I want to call it a cult, that you come up with your own party. I don't think this is what Uganda needs right now, for each of us to come up with our own parties. On the register book at the Electoral Commission, you have close to 50 political parties, which are largely dormant. They are there, they're on the register book. And secondly, we are talking about the struggle to restore democracy. We're not talking about parties now competing for power. You see with a party, you aggregate your own ideas and the efforts to advance a particular agenda and to compete for political power. So that is the ideal situation, and that's what the Constitution provides for. There are those rights you can enjoy under the constitutional framework. But the Constitution today, right now, is not in charge of the political order. The political order we have right now is governed by the gun, is governed by the military regime. And this is the challenge we are dealing with. So it can't be a party to liberate this country. Coming to the issue of the presidential ambitions, I think this speculation was started on the eve of the occasion at Najana Nkumbi to welcome me officially into the party. There are those who wanted to distort and skew it after getting wind of what was going to happen the following day, to create that kind of anxiety within the public domain that probably Lukwago is going to be unveiled. Actually, they said that very dawn, Tuesday 28th, I was going to be unveiled as a candidate. You can, and spread like a wildfire in the social media, in the mainstream media. Actually, some media houses picked on it and started hyping it, and you know, that kind of confusion which was, but we had the occasion to explain it, that the purpose of that function was to officially receive me in the party. And we thought we had put the matter to rest. Now the question keeps on coming. It started with you. Maybe you are the one who triggered it. From your questions, maybe
they are telling you stop the ambiguity.
The ambiguity.
Just tell them.
This
yes
is now no. Where I'm coming.
Yeah, because I think that's what they all want.
You see, we mentioned there. Right now, we are engaged in kind of discussions with different key figures, players in different political organizations and formations. Because right now, it's party platforms that are going to sponsor candidates. FDC, DP, for example, NUP, and the UPC, JEMA, and others. But we are saying, look, are we doing ourselves a service for all these political parties to field the candidates, because I've told you in the struggle we have two strands, and I will keep on mentioning this: the election platform and the defiance platform. With the defiance platform, we already having that arrangement with the people's government and people power. Now, when it comes to the candidates who are going to champion the struggle, we have to agree, and this is where we have to have a front and agree and say, look, who is that one person who is going to be the flag bearer, if possible, for all these change-seeking forces, if possible. That's why I said this is the ideal we would want to see. In case it fails, then also we shall tell Ugandans. But as a person who is deeply involved in these discussions, high-profile meetings, I think it would be indiscipline on my part. And I will ask you kindly, bear with me. There are things I may not divulge here for obvious reasons. But keep trusting what we are doing, because we have been in this struggle for a long time. And I want to assure you, the fighters are not only in one political entity. No. They are in different political organizations. They are not only in FDC, they are not only in INUP, they are not only in DP. Even in DP, by the way, I may have disagreements with Honorable Nobody because he seems to be comfortable with the status quo. For him, by the way, actually, is driving the vehicle into a direction where we wouldn't personally I wouldn't agree with. But they are different individuals whom you respect and who are craving for change, who have committed their lives to the struggle. They are there. They are very many. So give us time. I know time, you said time is not on our side. But we also have to work within the prevailing environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think, or maybe you're parting short.
But this is what I was saying, look. Because you will say again is not understood. But for me, all I've said, in those engagements we are having about getting a flag bearer, I am not in any way scheming for anything. No. I am not scheming, because I believe a candidate of that caliber to champion the struggle through an election should emerge organically.
If there's a
it should not be about scheming.
If there's a popular view in the party that you should be the one, will you carry the flag?
That's a different matter altogether.
I'm asking, if there's a popular view in the party that you carry the flag of FDC,
there are questions,
will you carry the flag?
There are questions. It's not only popular view. There are issues I will also have to present on table. But this is what I'm saying. These are matters I don't need to discuss right now.
Okay.
But all I can say, I am not scheming for that position.
Scheming is not the word.
I've said it's not part of my DNA.
No, nobody has
all I can say right now, personally, the only statement I can give you, Omurodi Wari. That's what I've already said. Omurodi Wari. That's the position that was entrusted to me. But those issues, I'm involved in the discussions with other colleagues.
The concluding remark with to the people of Kampala and the people of Uganda, if you can.
Fellow Ugandans, we are living in a very, very fragile environment, which is potentially explosive. Let's not go at each other's throat, especially the protagonists within our own ranks, the forces of change. We don't have competition amongst the political parties. The fact that some of us now join different political parties is to create that room and environment for political entities to be able to come together and to advance the struggle. So, please, hold the fire. Don't go against each other. It doesn't help. Simply because a person does not belong to your political formation, don't treat him as an enemy. Okay. Let's find a formula on how we can move together and extricate this country from the cliff where it is headed.
The Lord Mayor, Erias Lukwago, I thank you so much for your time, and I also appreciate your insights on the different matters we have discussed, and I think maybe I should be making my parting shot on the show tonight. When you see people like the Lord Mayor, Erias Lukwago, and maybe Norbert Mao, sometimes disagreeing, and maybe Lukwago moving on, I think and believe that these two individuals don't hate each other, but perhaps they love their country more. What we're going to see in the next couple of months, people will be coming on our doors, millions of them telling us that they are going to change our lives to be our leaders, but they won't. However, what you can do is to listen to them, to read their manifestos, understand that man and woman, whether he or she deserves your vote. And the most important thing to do is to honor your vote. Thank you for your company. Good night, and God bless Uganda.
If there was a leadership crisis in FDC wouldn't be attractive. The fact that you see the road mayor coming to the FDC, the fact that you see the Honorable Nabira fighting to get a flag, that she's even willing to say, I will even take you to court to give me a flag, is an indication that you see it is a party worth fighting for.
The reason some people are defecting is because of personal issues, personal problems. Some, of course, have other issues relating to how they are not benefiting, and so on and so forth. And all that comes back to personal problems.
As a leader, when these challenges arise, I have to work or do everything within the confines of the FDC constitution to overcome these challenges.